those without chest to hawk their own beliefs, their own opinions, without care or concern for their own citizenry. For those without thought of any kind form of governance under which they fail to realize their own subjugation. For those who think there is no reason to fight, no reason to live, no reason to die. But here, we find heart and breath to take hold of known truths from foundations across decades and centuries past. So stay in, for here we face, here we seek, here we reveal the hills upon which we live, and upon which we die. And live.
This would be the second tower catch.
Ready for
The tower for catch.
booster coming in.
What's over is over, and nothing between. Yesterday to be shit, because tomorrow's a day you have to face.
Wow, that is just absolutely stunning.
Welcome everybody. Hello. Enter ye into the joy of the Lord. I hope you all had a great week. I'm your lovable plumpy yumpy yumpkin schnoogum boogums, your host of a sweetie pie.
You're my honey bun sugar plum, pumpy umby umpkin. You're my sweetie pie. You're my cupcake gumdrop, sniggums bookums. You're the apple of my eye.
Coming to you with talent on stole from El Rushbo. Yes, the late and great Rush Limbaugh. Trying to recapture a flicker of his light and bring back to our hour of darkness and destitution a little bit of light. And as Jesus, our Christ Lord, has instructed, we too strive for causes of his kingdom here. So loosen your belt buckle, unstrap all the tightenings of your body was just a euphemism, saying other things, and receive my gift to you, another episode of the week's amalgamation. I decided to take off the echo. Actually, I didn't. It just isn't happening, and I'm okay with that. It maybe even sound better. Y'all let me know in the thing. You know, I was doing the research, studying, looking at, this past week who is coming into office, who the picks were of Donald Trump. The Pete Hegseths, the Pam Bondis, the Kash Patels, the Elon Mucks, those guys, Vivek Ramaswamy. I was listening, looking, watching, hearing, and as you've seen in the last episode, what my thought of some of them was. It came to fruition where, the premise of a script came to mind, and the transfer of power and who's coming into power and why is it important and blase blase. Along with that was the story in the book of Judges. It's right at the beginning, and let's go ahead and read that thing. We're not going to get too far into it, but it's right here. Look, Judges. Now after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. And Judah said unto Simeon his brother, come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Canaanites. And I likewise will go with you into thy lot. So Simeon went with him. So it's like, look, God hooked me up with this spot. Come with me. Let's go drive these people out, these entities, these beings. And then when we've established that, boom, when it's time for yours, I'll go with you and then we'll knock them out. And he's like, that's what's up. Puro familia, wey. Raza. You hear it? Yeah, you do. Woo, woo. So let's look here. Now this talks to who is in the land, in the region right now, with all the fighting that's happening. Whose land is it? Let's go all the way back here. But I am not actually going to go there with this. It has nothing to do with that pertaining to this episode. But we can see how it's easy to fall into that area where we start talking about whose land. Anyway, we're not going to do that, so let's get up. We're going to talk about transfer of powers. When Moses was given the instruction with Aaron to go, let my people go. That one guy, let my people go. He actually went to American Idol doing that myth.
When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, down Egypt land, and say,
Anyway, he did his dealings, he did his authoritatives, and that's another story we can get into, because did Moses enter the promised land?
let my people go.
Some of you might think, well, yeah, he did. Some of you know the real answer. And here's the question.
Let my
Why?
people
Whatever the outcome was, why?
go.
After Moses, then it was Joshua and Caleb, and then now after Joshua had died, apparently Caleb's still alive, but that's later on, and we're not even going to get that far. We're just right there in the beginning. Joshua was like, he died. Now keep in mind, the children of Israel are, as you read further, you will see how unfaithful they are, how undisciplined, and how much of fear their hearts were filled. And even after seeing all that God has done and what is being done for them at that moment, continually, time and time again, they fell away from the teaching, they fell away from the ordinances, they fell away from the law, seeking after the desires of their own hearts. And, who does that sound like? Us. You a liar if you ain't. And I'll call you a liar to your face. You're like, oh, God, like you ain't, man, look. Anyway. So when they ask God, who will go up against our enemies for us? Meaning, who's going to do the dirty work for us? Who's going to do the heavy lifting? Who's going to risk their lives? And who's going to stick out their neck for us? Because mind you, Moses had done it. Joshua and Caleb had done it. The story before then, we hadn't got to, we hadn't done yet, but we can. The children of Israel were afraid to go into these lands because there was giants and stuff. And Joshua was like, let's go. Boom, boom. Boom, let's run up on them. Yay! Indian style. And they're all afraid. All afraid. And then now that the guy's dead, ask God, who's going to come? Now, what's so significant about that? Check this out. The children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, before that time, it was always God speaking through a representative to the people. When Moses was on the mountain, they were afraid, and they're like, hey, Moses, go ask God, hey, you got any more of them morsels from heaven? You got any more of them sweet bread? And so there was always a mediator. Here, it's the children of Israel asked God. And he delivered. He spoke. So the transfer of power. So here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. Should one find peace and solace while consumed within the conscientiousness of being worthless, thinking that is enough to justify his inability to palm the hilt and hoist a blade, true failure is to keep breathing while maintaining a vigorous expectancy of another man to spend his life exacting in the same lack of equal formidability, subsidizing the obsequiousness of such disposition. Now, obsequiousness is abject, of the most contemptible kind, of cringing submissiveness. To maintain that, expecting somebody else to uphold and subsidize for you, that level of failure and weakness. And you're like, I am this worthless that I'm going to ask of somebody else because these guys are destitute. They're still out there. They haven't, come to be in the whole. But when you find peace and solace in that, boom, that's true failure. And that you keep breathing, or they, not you, but they keep breathing. Those people. Who's going to go up and fight for them? Who's going, handout. Sound like anybody. It sounds like me. Because the transfer of power is in the unshackled mindset. Because that does sound like a weak-minded man. Spineless, entitled, and excusatory. Although, it's a great question. You go back to, hey, who's going to go up? I mean, it's a legit question. All right. But no one said, hey, man, in my weakness, in my filth, in my lack, if nobody, I'll go, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll go if you need me, or if nobody's come, if nobody's fit that. Look, man, well, maybe it's our turn. We don't know how, we don't know where, when, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. But I seen you do crazy things. So surely you can get me through to the next one. Us, through me, through our people, because there's 12 tribes. So in conclusion,
So the most important thing you gotta remember is, some people were, they were doing some stuff, and then other people were like, hey, don't do that stuff, and then other people were like, hey, yeah, they should do, that stuff. It's good that they're doing that stuff, and then the other people were like, I don't think they should be doing that stuff, and then the do so things are like what I'm trying to say is that in conclusion,
as they have learned how God and the way he communicates, they follow protocol. The transfer of power has been bestowed onto the people. There's now a connection that the people can actually go to God. They're still under the formalities with the tabernacle, and they got it for the priestly duties. The Levites, they sacrifice and all that stuff, and there's still how much to give and what type of animal for specific sin or atonement offering and stuff like that. But they are in direct contact with the Almighty instead of one direct line through one channel. He still speaks to prophets. He still speaks to his people. But the transfer of power is that, the from current disposition. So now let's look at what that means. Transfer from your current disposition to originalism. That's what my mindset is. From one mindset to another. From a mindset of dependency and lack and frailty and weakness and handout and who can help me, to responsibility. Oh, I got to do it. I got to put it together. I can't wait for anyone or anything to make it happen. I have to get up and do it. From entitlement to accountability. So I got to do the heavy lifting. I got to do the work. I got to do the sacrifice. I got to do the risk. I mean, that sounds a lot like whose turn is it to take the big leap, to take the jump when it's your turn. When I'm proud of some people in my family who are now sole proprietors in businesses, and they're, doing great things, financially. Now, that is one of the payoffs, but the burden is knowing what's required. No sleep, all risk, 100% accountability, all on your shoulders. But the freedom and the liberty, unbridled, unchained. There's an exchange with a deep sense of assertion and pride, equipped with an urgency to take hold of the ancient texts and the documents that provide a leniency, a freedom of self-governance instead of a heavy burden of dictatorial rule. Somebody else is going to tell you what to do, how to do, when to be here, for how long you need to work. Even okay, me, I work right now by the hour, and I'm a truck driver. So by law, whether I'm for this guy or for that guy or sole proprietor, I only got 70 hours to work a week because of safety regulations or whatever. But that's why I've been trying to get out of the damn truck entirely. Which is the reason why I'm doing this, because you got to think my sole purpose was ministry. That's all I was going to do. That's all I cared to do, is help people and encourage people and build them up. And here's a story. Real quick, I'm going to get off track, but that's okay. That's what El Rushbo did. There was a group of people that came to the facility and they gathered some supplies because they were going to go to Mexico and they were going to do an outreach. And my buddy, he had been put on his heart to give a keyboard, a nice keyboard, to the man so he can do his ministry. And it just wasn't setting well with me, like his face. He was very appreciative and he was thankful and he was grateful, but it was like there was something. And I was like, what is that? Like, you're given a gift, and it wasn't of expectancy. It just came about, and it was a surprise to all of us. Like, wow, God's putting a nice keyboard. That's what's up. But it looked like he was. You're not worthy. Who do you think you are? This isn't blah, 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 blah. And I just hugged the guy, man, after a while, whatever. It wasn't like, oh, so we're saying our goodbyes. Everything happened, boom, boom, boom. And they're getting ready to leave. And man, it was boom. All right. So those of you who know me. Those of you who don't, when we see each other, we'll dab up, boom, 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 and I'll get in it, man. There's different ways to check and read people. There was this one guy, I'm going to go back to that story, but there's another story where this supposed pastor, decades into the game and love God, love people, blah, 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 blah. And I shook his hand and I looked into his eyes and I didn't let go. And he did that. Like if I was trying to read into his spirit. If I was trying to read into his soul. But the level of fear that came into this man's eyes, I was like, oh, buddy, you got a lot of you and God to do, because you shouldn't be afraid of somebody. I just shook his hand. It was like 2 seconds. Boom, boom, fear. Like, oh, you trying to read into me? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, when I grabbed old boy, I could not let go. I just, you're a good man. You're a good man. Yeah. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, yeah, that's weird. Let him go. Like, dude, let the guy go. And he's like, yeah, trying to like, okay, yeah, this is weird. He's trying to, like a toddler. He's trying to get out of, and you're just like, nah, you're a good man. I was like, no. I was like, no, I don't think you understand what's happening here. It's like, you are a good man. It's not whether you think you're a good man or not. You are. You're a good guy. You're a good man. You're a good. And I just kept saying that, man. And who pops your fingers? Right? You pop it, you feel it. Right? You pop your knuckles or whatever, you feel it. Well, that's what was happening to this guy's body. And he was like, and then he started getting weak and limp. And I was like, ugh, I'm holding this guy up, but I couldn't let him go. You're a good man. You're a good man. You're a good man. And then, it was just pop, 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 pop. And so everybody was like, what's happening? They knew what was happening. God was happening. Put their hands on the guy. Boom. They got not now. Boom. We're praying. And boom, 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 boom. One guy coming, going over there, blase, blase. And then, so we're just praying the Spirit, praying the Holy God. So getting it. And after a while, boom, dude was set free. Released. Of the decades of verbal abuse, he couldn't go with the chains that were in his mind. He couldn't go with the chains because he believed his ex-wife would speak nonsense into this man, cheat on him, blah, blah, blah. And you ain't this and you ain't that. And you boom, boom, boom. You for decades. And he sat there and he took it, trying to be a good man, and was beat down to the point where God had to intervene on his behalf before he's ready to go out there. Now, he was going to go out there and do it. But God's like, I got something different for you, man. So this is why I'm doing this. The people need to hear these stories. Because somebody's stuck. But somebody's got to tell you, you ain't got to be. And if that has to be me, well, then I'm going to do it. Because I'm not going to wait and say, hey, God, who's going to go up and do it for me? I don't find peace and solace sitting, waiting, expectant of another man, knowing all the well how worthless, weak and frail and filthy I am. Because you can't tell me I ain't. You could tell me and put it right back to me. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So what are you going to do about it? All right, shout it out to the rooftops. Yeah, let's go, Pete Hegseth. Hey, you filthy fuck Tim bitch. What are you going to do about it? We're here to save people. That's what I'm going to do about it. So I love that man. He had composure. Pete's my new hero. So free yourself of the bondage where man tells you how far their limitations and their mandates upon you. They tell you how far your liberty is allowed to go. So these are the cries of light that inculcate in the darkness. that you may stand free and liberated in order to speak and spark fire aloud for all to hear of a righteousness allowing you to castigate the bindings of despair, of their despair. Yeah, you may have partaken in it to put you in that, now giving them something to judge you upon which to lord over and the shackles of repudiation that they put on you, where the voice of doubt thumbs its weight of imposing despotic rule over your life. You still have the availability to rule faithfully in the rejoice of peace, where the tears trace your cheeks, reflecting upon your countenance in shape of thunderous roars of atonement. When you acknowledge how filthy you are and how much of God you need in your life. I say God, I choose to say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that guy, Jesus. You can say universe or whatever, that's your business. Man, that's okay too. I won't reject you or whatever. That's nothing to do with me. But the spirit of freedom, the spirit of light and love, mercy and grace and joy. Man, I thought this was going to be 10 minutes. It's already almost 30 minutes, so we'll be done with this. And then they do, if you read this, they do go up there and then they do kick ass and drive out. In some other places, they don't utterly destroy everyone or everything in it. But know that even in the victories and even in the success, even in the positive building, even in the growth while working and attaining the wealth and amassing the prowess of those around you, putting people in position, when y'all get to a point, either in family, business, church, whatever it is, just know that the fall again is right around the corner. How do I know that? Because the story goes is after a while they fall away. They forget again, and then boom, you get right back into punishment mode. And then God raises up another person to influence another group of people. And it's like, okay, we got to go back to that, one current source thing up until, Christ. But in this particular story, man, the transfer of power is you realizing that the transfer of powers are on your timeline. Because now forgive me, but I'm going to talk to my great grandchildren who I will never meet. But the transfer of powers are in your timeline. When you're a toddler, you damn near own the whole world because your parents get turned by you because you are the dictator, you're the despot. And then when you're in elementary, your group of friends, and then middle school, and then high school, you're the same individual, but you're the different mental being. And then when your next transfer of power is your studies, or from your studies to, adulthood. And then your next transfer of power, and what I mean by power is authority and wisdom, knowledge, understanding, you go SOP, standard of operation, all that stuff, is now your, spouse, perhaps, and then a parent. And then your next one is, boom, a grandparent. So somewhere in there, I mean, you're either going to stay an employee and work for somebody, or your next transfer of power, if you will, is so proprietorship, entrepreneurship, you're a business owner, whatever it may be. Go and partner if you're in a law firm or whatever it is. And then you look back, you're like, man, I was a different person. Yeah. Now, especially if you're, on that crack cocaine, you're selling, you're over there tooting it out, man. You know what I'm saying?
So lonely, Mr. Lonely. I have nobody call my own girl. So lonely, Mr. Lonely. I have nobody call my own girl. Can't believe I had a girl like you when I just let you walk right out of my life. After all I put you through, you still stuck around and stayed by my side. What really hurt me is I broke your heart, baby, you a good girl and I had no right. I really wanna make things right, cause without you in my life, girl, I'm so lonely, Mr. Lonely.
That's a different transfer of power, but it's a disposition nonetheless. And then you get saved by Christ. He breaks you out of that. He loosens those chains that you've placed on yourself. And in the name of Jesus, anybody hearing it, whoever, wherever, whyever, your friends or family that you're praying for, I come in agreement that the blood of Christ over their life completely changes and shows you how awesome and glorifyingly expectant
Let my people
that he should have,
go.
an expectancy that he should have. I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, be thou released in the name of Jesus. Okay, now back to the children. You're going to go through these different phases in your life, and each phase, is again, a transfer of power, a disposition, or by which to operate your SOPs. Man, you got to make sure that you're not taken advantage of, and you got to make sure that if you're going to stick your neck out for somebody else, that you put a level of burden on them. Like, oh, you're not going to get this for free, right? This is just my work. Don't mean you're going to get it for free. Now that might be flesh talk, but a man ain't worthy of his bread if he don't work. That's what Paul said. Somewhere around there.
Brother, I don't know what type of time you're on, but I'm going to need you to clock out.
We'll be right back after these important messages.
And I love you so, and I want you to know that I'll always be right here. And I love to sing 2 songs to you because you are so dear.
Okay, hey, I forgot to mention my daily routine. I had talked to y'all in the last one saying what my daily routine was going to do. From midnight to 0030 for 30 minutes, I do my Duolingo Japanese till 1 o'clock in the morning. And 1 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock, I do Bible. I listen to the Bible, either in English or in Spanish. And then from 3 to 4, I actually listen to the Spanish teacher about grammar and vocabulary and all that good stuff. And from 4 o'clock to 7, I listen to the daily postings of Mark Levin on his daily show. Now, you guys have to listen to Mark Levin. You have to listen to the Sean Ryan show. If there's any 2 shows, it's those. And then, of course, go back to listen to Old Rushbo. And from 4 to 7, Mark Levin. And from 7 o'clock, I kind of take a break. I'll either listen to the Sean Ryan show because he does one posting a week, and they're like 3 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. Or I'll watch the YMH. If you see the Tom Segura book, I got that, and I listen to them and laugh a little bit. Or Sumo. Sumo comes on every other month of the odd month. So right now we're on day 7. They fight for 15 days, and I'll watch that. It's like 30 minutes. And then whatever else comes to mind. Now from 7 to 9, I actually go onto the live feeds and watch the House of Representatives or the Senate, or if I can't find anything like that, or if there's nothing particularly interesting, I'll listen to old Supreme Court rulings. And so that's the law aspect of things until 12 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock, I take a break. At 12 o'clock, I actually do singing exercises with pressure and, you know, shrills and highs and lows and whatnot. And then at 1 o'clock, I'm already planning, you know, show prep with my pen and paper. So everything I've, the amalgamation of the findings of the day, I'll write down, and then I'll come home and then I'll type it out onto my thing there, you see. And then that's where we go from there. And so that's how the show is built. So that's every day, day. Because, like it just said, because I love you so, and I'll always be white heel. Well, that's to conclude this show. Thank you guys. Hugs and kisses. I love y'all. Ain't a damn thing you can do about it. And be great today. Better than what you were yesterday. You have the ability, you have the freedoms, and if there's anything you need, give your brother a cow, man. Love you.
Let my people go. Let my people go.